I'm from Forest Park. I'm from Clayton County. I was born and raised here. I went off, spent some time in the military, and I came back, and I'm proud of it. I love so much about this place. The people, the community, the growth, the artistry. But it's tough sometimes. I've been arrested 3 times in Clayton County.
Details tonight of the federal trial of suspended Clayton County Sheriff Victor Hill. Today, a man told the court he was handcuffed and restrained in a metal chair for more than 6 hours on Hill's orders. The suspended sheriff now faces a list of federal criminal charges in a trial just underway.
Hill was on hand when a Clayton County man named Desmond Bailey was arrested for illegal firearms and drugs in February 2020, according to testimony. Asking questions, Bailey says he told Hill he wanted an attorney. He told jurors Hill responded, he said, "You think you're bad? You think you're a gangster? Put his behind in the chair." Bailey told the jury he was restrained and handcuffed in the chair for 6 straight hours. Bailey said, "It was horrible. You can't move. My whole body was numb." He said he and another similarly restrained man, we were screaming, yelling, trying to get the staff's attention. We're hurt. We're bleeding.
Have you ever heard of Victor Hill?
No, I have not.
People, if they know who Victor Hill is. Have you heard of his name? So we're just out here asking people if they know who Victor Hill is.
I don't know him.
So the reason we're talking to people today is to see if they know who Victor Hill is. Have you ever heard of Victor Hill? How old are you guys?
Victor Hill has a lot of popularity and respect in Clayton County despite this current legal battle.
I think that's real important. That's why I walk to jail any time of the night. That's why I patrol the county.
The only thing I can say about Victor Hill, I lived in Clayton County. I still live in Clayton now, but back then I lived in 2004 when he was still a sheriff. The one thing I can say is, and it's just my opinion, when he was in charge with the sheriff, the crime was at a low. I mean, it literally was. I didn't read about or see about all of the stuff I'm seeing lately and hearing lately going on in Clayton County from a crime standpoint perspective. When he was there, I had absolutely no complaint. That's just, you know, and I lived in a pretty viable area compared to what it was like now. But for the most part, I never had any problem with him, period. And just the thing about him being, quote unquote, prosecuted, persecuted, whatever you want to call it, just in my opinion, I'd vote for him again, without a doubt, if he ever ran. No problem.
Do you think that maybe the uptick in violence or crime that's been apparent in Clayton County recently is in part because of his issues with his suspension and the allegations held against him, and that's part of the issue, is like the militant nature of that and the recourse?
Well, my opinion on that is, I know, you know, it's a violation, human rights violation, period. I wasn't there, I didn't witness it, I don't know what he's being accused. I know what he's being accused of, but I didn't witness it. I can just only tell, you know, from him being in power compared to him being out of, and the news reports seemingly every day something different in Clayton County is happening from a crime standpoint. I don't know. I believe the uptick in crime is a result of him not being in power. And
so like the more militant tactics work?
In my opinion, yeah. I'm not about. I'm just one man. Just one person's opinion.
Like I said, this isn't for one side or the other. This is just a conversation.
Right. I do believe. I believe you have to have some, you know, a bit of control at some point. You know, even an iron fist, if that's what you really want to call it, for law-abiding citizens and people of that nature. You don't mind it.
What if it comes at the cost of the mental aspect of people that had to suffer while in their time in there? Like, if human rights acts are being violated, and it's being violated across an entire jail population, we're sending these individuals back into our community after they've been tortured in some senses.
Basically, like they've been institutionalized, I guess you want to call it
that. And it just perpetuates this system of just repeating offenders and like feeding the jail system.
Right, and well, I guess it starts at the top. I mean, of course, like I said with Victor, he had to rule with an iron hand. He was known for that, and but for, I guess it's an end to a mean. I don't necessarily agree with it. The human rights violation, I guess, it's hard for me to tick because I haven't experienced it myself before.
Yes.
And it's one of those walk a mile in my shoes before, you really make a snap judgment or something to that effect. So I understand that point for the jailers and the officials who were, from what I read about, he's being accused of I guess like confining prisoners or tying them to chairs and things of that nature. Like I said, that's just what the word is and the accusations are. But like I said, from my opinion, my standpoint, that's null and void. Not to brush it off like that because it's not. But like I said, I had no complaints about it. I mean, Clayton County was and still is, decent. But it was much more decent at that period in time.
Just because people rallied to your defense, one time or even over the period of a number of years, it doesn't mean that support is indefinite.
Guilty on all but one count. In federal court, a jury found the self-proclaimed crime fighter and longtime Clayton County Sheriff Victor Hill guilty of using excessive force against 7 detainees at his jail.
Jury verdict was read in the federal courtroom. The suspended Clayton County Sheriff sat at the defense table, stared stoically straight ahead, continued to be expressionless as the jury was polled, the 12 members of the jury, all of them declaring that they found Victor Hill guilty of 6 of the 7 counts of violating the constitutional rights of inmates at the Clayton County Jail. This was a case that was fraught with backstage drama in the jury room. There was one juror declaring that the sheriff of Clayton County was actually above the law at one point. So what we don't know yet is what kind of sentencing he will face. Clearly his status as a suspended Clayton County sheriff will continue.
Been arrested 3 times. I remember them vividly. I remember sitting in a cell by myself for 13 hours without any information. Just being berated by smear looks and degrading words from the correction officers. The correction officers just being rude and not giving any information, wearing shirts that say this is Victor Hill's Bat Cave. Welcome to Victor's Hilton. This is his house. And then you get taken in to accumulate. And it's not for a couple hours. It's not for anything to get your time started. It's weeks. You get woken up at 4:20 and given a spoonful of grits, 2 bologna sandwiches, and a thin plastic bag. Sewage contamination all over the place. Being threatened with serious injuries. And I'm not even talking about fights. That didn't happen much in there. There was a community, people trying to listen to each other, upset because of the craziness that brought them into that facility. No, it was me being epileptic and having seizures and being afraid from the stories I've heard that if I have a seizure that the correction officers are just going to come in and beat me just to prove that I'm not faking. And then you hear about the individuals strapped to chairs and beaten. And you hear about all the other stories. The worst part about it is you get out, you have your day in court, you find out, and they tell you like, oh, no charges. All 3 times, no charges. Everything dropped. They were wrong. It was a wrong thing in the system. It was like a clerical error, but I still paid my money. Spent my time. I have those those scars. I get nervous when I see cops. I'm a white guy. I'm a white guy in this community, and I can only imagine what others feel like if someone that's lived with what I've been able to feels this way. Like at what cost? 3 times, and I still have to carry that with me forever. And every single person that went through there, right or wrong, has to carry the weight of a militant man. And now we don't have any answers. But hopefully, we continue. We can make change in our community. We can stop these things. We can stop this violence. We can stop these ridiculous standards. Go out and vote publicly. Be proud of it, but vote locally. That's where we have the biggest voice, that's closest to us. I love this community, and I can't wait to see what comes next.